Before you watch the fan cam, a big shout out to Stocks FC. It is the hub of buying into your favourite football players. That is right. If you wanted to buy Dewsbury Hall, I don't know why I'd buy Dewsbury Hall, to be fair. Let's pick a different player. If you wanted to buy Cole Palmer and then his performances went up, you could make some money as if he was a stock. Check out Stocks FC. There's a QR code on screen as well as a link in the description. Check it out. There's a website. And let me know how you get on, guys.
Do you know what? Oh God, I'll tell you all the shebang.
Hello everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you're all doing very well. I'm outside Stamford Bridge after a 2-1 win against West Ham in the Premier League. I'm here with Nina. Nina, what did you make of the game?
Yeah, it wasn't pretty, but we got the result, and yeah, 2-1. Really quite funny goals in a sense, but I think substitutions were ultimately the game changer today. They really helped us because, my goodness, was that dire in the first half. You know, at one point I got bored, Alex.
I felt
boring.
exactly the same way.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, I looked at it and I was looking at the clock as well, and I was like, Chelsea, what is this? We were one of the most entertaining teams before Christmas, and now here I am watching side-to-side football, like at your tennis matches, Alex. But it's true, side to side, and we saw a lot of it last season, but actually under Pochettino we beat this team 5-0, didn't we? So it was a lot more emphatic than today. But yeah, look, I think that we started off really poorly. We seemed to be quite lackluster in attack. We didn't really have the ideas, and we were really misplacing a lot of passes as well. Like, it was really a struggle to try to get through midfield and transition into our attack. It was almost like we were completely disconnected there. So I think it was very, very tricky to get things going. And yeah, in the second half, after sort of 65th minute, I think we were a completely different team. But I was actually like, it was the other way round. Instead of being the hungrier team when we went 1-0 down, we looked like we were keeping the result, right? And we were playing that way. And then when we eventually got the equaliser, and then we were just fighting with every inch in our body when the front line changed. And I think that was the key today. The front line changed.
So you think that the changes that Maresca made during the match in terms of the front line, or you're saying as a whole?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both, a combination of the two, because I think when Pedro Neto came on, it's like he injected, it's like he plugged us into a socket or something, like the batteries came on, the fairy lights came on, and I think that is exactly what we were missing, just that guy that would be fighting for every ball and have a bit of quality as well. I think that's what we were lacking, Alex, a little bit in the first half. It was the quality on the ball. You know, we couldn't really pass to each other. Everyone was kind of behind the ball. When it got to the final third and the few occasions it did, well, there was no one there. Or Enzo Fernandez and Cucurella were at the top of our attack. You know, arguably the shortest guys on the team, and a midfielder and a defender. So I was sitting there thinking, what is that all about? So it was very, very strange to see that. And yeah, Maresca recognised it. I actually saw Marquis start warming up way before the break, actually. He was warming up in the first half. So obviously there was a thought process there. He was keeping an eye on Jackson, and I think that you can visibly see that Jackson has really taken a knock of confidence, Alex. I think you can see it in his eyes. He's got a void of confidence.
Why do you think that is? Because, well, I'm one of the fans, for example, I back Jackson. And to an extent, I still do, because there's enough games to play to get over 20 goals this season. And he's clearly capable of doing it, but there has been a drop-off.
There has been, and I think that you can see this is a theory I have about Jackson, is, you know, there was that stat that he had scored first for us the most times, or more than any other player in the opening kind of minutes or whatever. He gets the first goal. But when it comes to scoring an equaliser or a deciding winning goal, he cracks under that pressure, and I think he can't quite do it. And I'm looking back at the last sort of few games where we've said that Jackson's been missing. But even today, I was like, Jackson stays strong. I know that West Ham have a very physical team. You know, they've got very physical players. There's a lot of height in that team. They will do that to you, and they won't let you rest. You know, they were doubling up on him. But at times, he just was a bit too soft in his play. You know, he'd go down a little bit too easily. He'd tried to turn, but never quite managed it. So to me, it looked like Jackson was better as a deeper player, or playing, you know, carrying the ball from deep. And then when it comes to laying it off or making that final pass before the shot, it's Cucurella or Enzo Fernandez up there, and you can't expect them to be up there all the time. So Jackson's almost that player that should be playing behind a striker, almost, I feel like. So we can't possibly expect that he's going to be that number 9. But, you know, it's not all on Jackson today. I think collectively in that first half, everyone was below par.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also testament to the way West Ham set up. They were very smart the way they set up. Because it was a low block, but they were there not to just sit back, they were there to counter. And Bowen's the perfect player to do that. He capitalised on the mistake from Colwell. And I'll be honest, I didn't see us coming back from 1-0, but we did. Yeah, I mean, what do you make of the way they set up as well? And is that just testament to how good we were today making the changes? Because it was another low block. We've always struggled against those systems.
I think you make a great point there that they did set up pretty well because they were doubling up on our wingers every time. You know, they were kind of taking Jackson out of the game as well. And I think that you saw it a lot, and it's where Noni Madueke and Jadon Sancho looked just a little bit impotent on those wings. And I think that is quite a big credit, yes, to West Ham there, but as well at times I think more should have been done. And I think with Madueke and Sancho, they have different problems. Like Sancho's very technical, you know, he likes to do his tricks and flicks, but maybe doesn't quite decide when to shoot, maybe doesn't lay it off in time. And then Madueke, he's quite the opposite, you know, he'll back himself to take on his man and then try and get a shot off or something. But I think that with both of them, yeah, it was just a little bit lackluster. Like when Pedro Neto came on, it was just completely different, wasn't it? And even Mark Guiu, and I'm not comparing him to Jackson saying he's better, but he was making those runs in centrally. That's what we were missing. We weren't playing really through the middle, Alex. We tried to take it out onto the wings every time and kind of keep it really side to side. And I said, we have enough quality, and this season we've seen that we can play through the middle, we can play centrally. So why didn't we? And maybe, like you say, it's a testament to how West Ham didn't let us play through the middle at all.
I'll ask you this as well. We talk about playing centrally.
Yeah.
Palmer, do you think he's better centrally? Or do you prefer the way he was utilised last season on the right-hand side? Because there's been a lot of games this season where he's been criticised for not doing enough. I know he got the winner today, so we can't really say it from this game. But as a whole, do you think we'll see more from Palmer? Especially when you man-mark him. It's harder to man-mark a player who's on the wing than a player who's in that position that he's in right now. Yeah,
true. I mean, he was absolutely incredible on the right, wasn't he, last season? And, I mean, I guess it wasn't very difficult to shine in that Chelsea team, so I guess his job was a little bit easier. But I'm open to seeing Cole Palmer play there on the right. And you know what? If João Felix hadn't left the door to go to AC Milan on loan, then maybe we could have seen him in that Palmer role and then Palmer off the right, because then that's a little bit more creativity. I think we were lacking that a little bit today. So I think Palmer, he naturally does drift out to the right anyway. You see him link up a lot more with Noni Madueke because he naturally just kind of strives towards the right before he kind of comes in centrally. And obviously that's a lot more comfortable because he can just kind of lay it off on his left foot and shoot from those positions. But yeah, I mean, again, once we got that equaliser, again, quite lucky to be in that position. And then over the second one, it was a cross on the floor, but then it took a deflection and in it goes. But yeah, it's enough. And do you know what, Alex? Today is a day where, pretty or not, the result mattered more than anything. Do you know what I mean?
Especially because it was against Potter.
Yeah. Potter back at the bridge. Yeah, that would have been a tough one to take. But no, just because it meant, you know, we capitalised on results this weekend that went our way. And, you know, when you've got a door open there and you're let into the top four, you have an opportunity. You can't, like, fluff your lines and not do it.
Well, we're back in there now.
We're back in there now, yeah. And I can't believe it. Nottingham Forest were chasing them, Alex. Sat above us. And how good do they look? Thrashing Brighton 7-0. And, yeah, I mean, interesting. We are sat, and who would have thought? Would you ever believe someone if they told you the top four currently in summer? You would have gone, what? That is mad, right?
I know. Well, I didn't even expect Chelsea to be in the top four at the end of the season, so I thought maybe fifth and we could still scrape Champions League.
Yeah.
But I thought top four was. But I was very. I was still very angry about sacking Poch at that time, so I thought that we needed the stability. But Maresca, bless him, he's done a good job, you know, and there's no two ways about it. The one thing that will frustrate a lot of Chelsea fans, myself included, is that it doesn't matter how good the manager is if he's not given the players to.
Yeah, the January transfer window has been underwhelming, to say the least, especially when you have the windows you have had as Chelsea in the last kind of couple years. It's, I mean, quite absurd, you know, getting FOMO not being in the headlines every day with, like, the big transfer news, isn't it? But, yeah, I'd say, Alex, that even last summer I would have told you I was disappointed with the window. Is that bizarre to say? A rival probably will tell you yes, because of the amount of money we've spent. But I always thought that we needed to bring in another attacking player. You know, I said striker. Even after our 6-2 win, I still said, Alex, I think we still need to bring in a striker. Even though we had, you know, 6 goals scored that game and we've gone on to score as many goals as we have. But the truth is that, we still do miss that kind of target man there, and not even that. It's more than that. Our wingers have dropped off a little bit with goals as well. That's really impacted us. So I think, especially with Felix going out on loan, I think an attacking player should have come through the door, because now it looks like we're a bit thin on the ground. Yeah. And Alex, the thought I had when Nkunku was coming on, I was like, we expect some motivation here on the pitch. Is a player that's been considered for sale this whole month going to come on and actually want to put in a shift for you and try and get you a goal?
That's all we've got, though.
It's all we've got, but that is it, Alex. You're asking a player who's not really even in the plans properly for the club to come on and change games and be a super sub. So to me, that's a bit absurd, and that's not Nkunku's fault. That's far from. I think he's had a bit of an unlucky time here, and had it been another club or different times, maybe it would be a little bit different. But yeah, I think it's a little bit troubling that we are not bringing in. We haven't brought in an attacking player, and we always like to be in the headlines on deadline day. And today we're not quite there.
Just Disassi, I think that was it.
Well, that was yes and no and yes and no. And what's happened with that anyway?
It's happened.
It's happened.
Yeah.
It's over the line. Well.
But apparently, somebody told me it was like a £5-6 million deal, which I'm sure is what we rejected initially anyway. Yeah. So I don't know if that was true or not, if we got more money, but there you go.
Yeah, there you go. But a win's a win.